Good morning, everybody. I'm Jennifer Phillips. My pronouns are she, her, and I am the program lead for network collaboration on the Digital Benefits Network team here at Georgetown's Beeck Center for Social Impact and Innovation. We are just delighted to kick off BenCon by introducing you all to three trailblazing leaders in the civic tech and digital benefit transformation space to have a conversation about this moment that we're in, socially, politically, technologically, to chart the course to excellence for digital benefits delivery. So I'd like to have everyone give a warm welcome to Lynn Overmann, our executive director here at the Beeck Center, Amanda Renteria, the CEO of Code for America, and Hillary Hartley, the CEO of U.S. Digital Response. It is no secret that if everyone got the public benefits that they are eligible to receive by specific policy intention, it would distribute somewhere between $100 and $200 billion to families across the country. Based on the Urban Institute's 2003 projections, those untapped resources would lift an estimated 15 million families, people, including almost 5 million children, above the federal poverty line. And the evidence is so clear that these income stabilizing programs set individuals and their families up for longer term economic stability and mobility, and that these benefits make it easier to work, to find childcare, to take care of physical and mental health issues. They improve child outcomes and people's ability to pursue education, training, and career mobility. Your organizations are at the forefront, working with governments at all levels and other partners on blending human-centered civic tech, policy implementation, collaboration, and leadership to revolutionize how people access and receive critical public benefits. So I'd like to start by asking each of you to share a brief example of your organization's work in digital benefits delivery that you are super proud of. And I'm going to start with Lynn.
Great, thank you. Did I actually turn this off? Probably. The irony of a technology leader not knowing technology is a daily struggle for me. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for having us here today. It's a little difficult to talk about what I'm most proud of. It's a little bit like picking your favorite child. But the Digital Benefits Network, I think I'm going to say three things. I'm going to cheat a little bit since we are at Georgetown, and I'm going to claim some executive privilege. I think one thing I'm really proud of in an overarching way is the Digital Benefits Network and how they provide so many different options and opportunities for convening our ecosystem partners, whether it be events like BenCon today, whether it be the network convenings or things like the Summer of CX, or just offering public good resources for folks who are interested in learning more about leveraging modern digital tools to deliver benefits more effectively, just to come and learn themselves. I think one of the themes that you'll probably hear across all of our statements, certainly, is that we have this incredible diverse ecosystem, and one of the things that I think DBN has played a really important role in is helping us all come together more regularly. I think it is not a secret to anyone who is active in this space that there is not one single organization that is going to solve these problems, and there is certainly not one single external nonprofit organization that is going to solve the problems. What we really need is deep capacity and partnership with our government partners who ultimately deliver these benefits. So I think the convening is one. More specifically, what I'm really excited about the emerging DBN strategy is to focus on tools that could cut across different benefits programs. So I know a lot of folks are deep in a particular benefit like unemployment insurance, Medicaid, SNAP, or TANF, but really looking across those programs and trying to solve technologies or identify technologies that could be effective across all of them. And I'm going to point particularly to our digital identity work, which is really complex and very critical. And then finally, I cannot wait for the Policy to Code demos this afternoon. I will confess to being a recovering lawyer. And I am old enough, we were talking about old games last night, that I remember having to go to a law library and pulling books off the shelves and having to page through different books to find different statutes, different regulations, different rules. We have not emerged that far from that reality. So yes, they're PDF'd. Yes, they're slightly more searchable, but the reality of it is if you are a state administrator or a caseworker, you're oftentimes having to look across this very wide range of rules, regulations, policies, past case examples to try to figure out if I can say yes to this person who's asking for benefits. And so translating that diverse set of rules into code, and I think this is a really interesting opportunity where generative AI could actually be quite helpful in making those decisions more consistently, equitably, and effectively is something that I'm particularly excited about.
All right. I'm actually going to build off of that idea of evolving, right? What are the things that we're going to evolve over? And I think that's one of the things I'm most proud of at Code for America. We've been around about 15 years. And what I'm most proud of is seeing us go from building a movement to building products, to integrating products, to doing it at scale. And so I think about when we first started, it was our Get Cal Fresh product where we were really helping people access food assistance. And then we moved from there working with states to say, how do you add on WIC and TANF? And then fast forward to more recently where we used all of that user research to understand people who have never filed taxes before, and how do you build a mobile app in dual language to really help bring in folks who have never been reached before based on the user research from years of studying low-income communities. And so what I am excited about is as we look to the future, how do we all continue to evolve at scale at a time where we are seeing a new generation really come back in the government? And so I'm super excited because we saw that it actually can reduce child poverty, right? All of a sudden, a policy got implemented in a way that had real tangible impact, that people largely understood the importance of implementation. So super excited about that.
Thank you. Awesome.
Hi, folks. U.S. Digital Response is a newer entrant onto the scene, but actually we've been around about 4 years now. And we're a nonprofit that pairs the best and brightest technology and digital folks out there raising their hands to say, I want to help. And we put them to work for you. And we've done that with benefits delivery programs across the country. We've worked with about 400 different government partners over the last few years. And talk about scale. That's really, sometimes it feels not deep enough. But I believe one of the magical things that our teams deliver is that aha moment, just that spark. And I think that's one of the things that I get most excited about in this ecosystem is all of the sparks that are being lit day to day here, et cetera. Two things that we've worked on pretty recently. One is, we've been helping people with procurement challenges. We help them get talent onto their teams. But we have, over this last year, been focusing on generative AI and helping public servants not be too scared of it, dip their toes in the water, understand what it could be. We've built a couple of prototypes around, how do we get these models to speak your language, for lack of a better word. We're on our way. But whether it's helping a model understand benefits, or whether it's helping a service get better at translation, and using very specific user-researched terms for specific things in your lexicons, and translating that to Spanish, et cetera. So in the AI space, there's a lot of really interesting things coming up. And then just last week, we released a report on Medicaid. Our volunteer team interviewed about 18 different individuals and families that were going through the renewal process. So lots of states focused on ex parte, but when they can't automatically renew, what happens? And so we talked to them and we asked them, what was this like? So the report includes, a full journey map, but it also includes highlights and opportunities and some things that we heard from states that we think other states should be replicating. And it is focused on Medicaid, obviously, but I think that there are lessons learned in there that really can apply to almost any government service, but certainly to benefit services, just in terms of better communication and not sending people into a black box. And all the things that we know, but that we wanted to get crisp on and give administrators, give our friends in the ecosystem ammunition to be able to say, we have to be able to do this better. We have to deliver for folks.
Thank you. So thinking about reaching scale, igniting the sparks, thinking back about the past year and then looking forward to 2025 and beyond, what are the hurdles and the headwinds that you think that we all need to keep our collective eyes on? And I'm going to pass to Amanda first.
So one of the things I think about is when I first got into government service at the city of San Jose, I remember seeing all my boss and bosses who were nearing retirement. And then 10 years later, I'm at the Department of Justice in California as a chief operating officer. And a lot of those retirees we were hiring back as contractors because we were so afraid the systems would break. And so over that period of time, now fast forward 20 years, and what that means is the Band-Aids over Band-Aids are starting to really give way. At a time when we are seeing more aging, we're seeing a new generation come in, and we're seeing tech modernization much quicker, moving in real time. And so one of the challenges that we see is how do we help, whether it's with capacity or in AI, we're doing workshops to understand it. How do we fill that gap? Because we are modernizing at the same time we're going to be transitioning to a new generation. But this is the room that's going to figure that out.
Great. I couldn't agree more with Amanda. I also think I'm going to name a little bit of the elephant in the room is that the last 4 years have taught us, if anything, that things can change very quickly, and they have been changing very quickly. And all of us who have worked in government know that quick change is difficult to deal with, I think both in the government and in the nonprofit space. And I think one of the things everyone has gotten much, much better at, and that is muscle that we're going to continue to need to use, is to be able to respond quickly when opportunities arise. So the child tax credit and the ARP funds, I think, were a great moment in time when a lot of funding went out and a lot of governments at all levels really tried to figure out how can I use this to push forward on delivering services more effectively and really seeing the impact of those service deliveries. I think, unfortunately, we also saw what happens when those get cut off. And I think one of the great things about government, especially when you're in it, is there's like a level of predictability that the bureaucracy brings, which is that you understand what it is and how to work through it, around it, alongside it, obviously all legally and ethically. And I think some of those guardrails are less strong than we need them to be. And I think for folks at each level of government, anticipating and scenario planning a bit what change may be coming down the pike and figuring out how your systems can be more resilient. Obviously, 7 weeks from now, there's going to be a significant election that might change how all of us go about doing our business. And that might bring more opportunities and it may bring more challenges. And I think that's true regardless of who wins. But every level of government has a role to play in delivering services effectively. And even with headwinds, it's really critical for the American public that we figure out every tool in the toolbox to do that. And so I think, particularly for folks who are in government who are having to grapple with this change, we will obviously do what we can from the outside to support you. But know that we recognize how challenging these times can be, how much whiplash this much change can create, and please stick with it. And I will also point everyone to our digital service network. And obviously, there's a large ecosystem of civic tech partners, not just here to help on things like product development and implementation, but a lot of us have been through periods like this before and really take advantage of those peer networks where they are and where you need them.
Thank you. Hillary?
Well, you did finally get around to mentioning the elephant in the room, which is the E word, the election. There is going to be an election in, I think it's just 49 days.
But who's counting?
But who's counting? And so at USDR, we actually have an elections program that is focused on helping election administrators run successful elections. So managing poll workers, having wait time tools that they can use to communicate to the public, helping them meet all the new requirements that have been coming in around early voting. So our team may be a little little extra tuned in to the pressure happening right now and over the next 49 days. But it's just another way that, we're showing up for public servants and helping them deliver to their communities. So regardless of what happens in November, I'm really thankful for the efforts of our 3 organizations and so many others in this room, the civic tech ecosystem writ large, for focusing on and investing in the needs of state and local governments. I think that's, in terms of headwinds or anything I want to keep, a ball I want to keep my eye on, is how do we continue to do that and show up for the subnational governments that are going to be feeling the brunt of whatever administrations. There's going to be an administration change no matter what and whatever happens. And honestly, that's all connected. If we stay focused on helping government deliver, we can shore up trust in government and shore up participation in those democratic processes.
And last question, and I'm going to pass it back to you, Hillary, and I'm sure you can keep going on that theme, but what gives you all the most hope for building momentum for digital service delivery work in 2025 and beyond? And I think that good government, trust in government is such a, it has two sides of that coin for sure in terms of headwinds and hope.
For sure. Well, I'll piggyback on what folks said earlier. This room is what gives me a lot of hope. The fact that you are here to learn, to share, to get excited and take that back to your teams and light those sparks, because this is the spark of transformation. At USDR, one of our superpowers is our volunteer corps. And I'm going to make a prediction. I think this week we are going to cross over 10,000 people that have raised their hands. So you should know that, A, you're not alone. Turn to your left, turn to your right, and there's lots of people watching online. But also there are 10,000 people who have raised their hands to help you. And we're here to help get that done. So designers, developers, product managers, engineers, researchers, security experts, data scientists, they all want to help. And we can help you through those discrete moments and help you have that aha moment to know, oh, I need to do this procurement differently, and I need to get a team built, and I need to think about how I'm going to do this beyond just this volunteer team showing up and helping me through this moment of lowercase c crisis. But if we're successful, residents across the country are going to get what they need from you, from our benefits teams, from government services, and we'll be delivering what people need. Thank you.
Lynn?
Oh, sorry. Jennifer told me the order ahead of time, and I obviously completely forgot it. So this is not Jennifer's fault. I think what I'm most optimistic about and hopeful and excited about is 2 things. One, we have built a track record of delivery that we can now point to. So I think we've made tremendous progress in working with traditional policymakers to help them understand how critical it is not just to pass the law, pass the regulation, do the traditional policy work, but really understand how critical a role delivery plays in actually getting those things that they fought so hard for into the hands of the people that they intended to reach. I still think we have a lot of work that we need to do to get at the table earlier in the process so that we're not. I think we need to get out of that firefighting kind of phase that we were in for a bit of time, but I feel a lot of optimism about where we've progressed and where we will continue to progress. I'm also super excited, and this is one of the joys of being at Georgetown, of working with this next generation of change makers who deeply, at their core, understand technology and understand the role that it can and should play in getting people the things that they need. And they also recognize really important aspects of accessibility and equity. And this set of students that we get to work with every single day at Georgetown who have already started to go out and join things like the US Digital Corps, they are deeply committed to change, and they see government properly and appropriately as a place where they can go to have change at scale. So I think watching folks, this kind of new generation of digital natives move into government is going to make things a lot different in just the next few years, and making that service as easy as possible for them, and to make them feel comfortable once they're there, and to take advantage of that energy that they bring is something that I think we're really going to see hitting very soon.
Thank you. Amanda?
All right. I am super hopeful about this space that we're in, this time that we're in. I think there's no better time to be here at this moment for two reasons. One, I remember being on the Hill in 2007 when people talked about the internet as a set of tubes. And that was what we were starting from, right? We were just trying, civic technology was just trying to get out of the help desk and be in the room. And then I think about the pandemic, where all of a sudden we were like forced to the table, forced to help. So we were working in crisis. I think now we are seeing, as we come out of the pandemic and people understand this work more and the importance of it, now we're at the table. We are seeing executive orders talk about AI and customer service. So we've never been closer to the table. Maybe we need more seats. But what I'm excited about is now we get to look ahead with some people at the table, whether that's CIOs, CTOs, agency leads who understand technology, a new generation of elected officials who are younger and digital natives. That's exciting. The second piece that's exciting, and I know we talked about the election, I'm actually extremely hopeful about the election. Not necessarily who's going to win or who's going to lose, but who's engaged. And I remember being here on the Hill right when Obama got elected, and there was all kinds of young people in a new generation going, I want to be a public servant. I want to go work there. Whatever it is, I want to go there. I feel like right now what we're seeing is a whole heck of a lot of people not only, again, going, wait a second, government can work, but actually digging into policy. I mean, I remember I was on the Hillary Clinton campaign, and we were talking about policy, and everyone was like, please stop talking about policy. It's really great to start now to see a conversation where people, not just even in this room, whether it's celebrities or my son going, Mom, why do we have these policies? And so the idea that we have a new generation, not just thinking about public service, but thinking about the importance of policy and how we do implementation. And so what gives me a ton of hope is it's our turn as we think about the next generation. No matter who wins, we now have a whole new generation who understands the importance of policy. Along with that, they're also going to hold the world accountable to that implementation in a way that I'm not sure we've ever been in this country as accountable to how are you going to get those kinds of results from the new generation that is coming. And that is super hopeful to me.
What a great way to end on that energy and momentum inspiration. So can everybody join me in thanking Lynn, Hillary, and Amanda?